We're gonna do a lightning round. Okay, we're going for just like 40 minutes. Where I got jumped, but I really wanted to actually get in. Uh, I want to build some games. What I want to do now. So last time we were here, we had Object Player. We had made a character that um supposed to move and jump in a world. However, we are at a point where we are correctly changing direction. However, um, we're not subject to gravity or friction, apparently. So we need to figure out where in this tutorial we went wrong and that fixed. So I don't really know how to debug this because I don't remember us like instantiating gravity at it. That may be part of the problem. I need to go through and try and like rewatch this and double check everything that we did and make sure like did I do this? Did I do this? Did I do this? And hopefully we'll find something I did not do that will blow this open and the fire of okay, that's what we need to be on the lookout. Keeping an eye out for making sure that the flanges are correct. Um, so let's go ahead and start
Gravity to the
watching.
player. You can get this from the description. Click on yes, then add all, and finally import. This will give you some sprites here, and there are two that we're going to use. One for the player, and one for the ground that the player will stand on. I am actually going to rotate this ground tile in my game to form slopes. So if you want to do that too, make sure you set its collision type to rectangle with rotation. With that said, let's go and make the objects. I'll make two of them here. The first one will be obj underscore player, and the second one will be obj underscore ground. I'll give obj player the player sprite, and then the ground object the ground sprite. So that's all the objects we need. Now let's go.
Also, I've been dying to check out like the entire sprite, edit sprite. Yeah, so we've got our animation here of our oxide. All those different. I believe that. Oh, and that's interesting. That head bopping up and down. It's not like this is a cutout, and they're up and down. Um, I believe this should be just one long file. Like if I can find a way to see the entire image, I think it's just this. I don't think it's actually 16 different images. I think it is taking a wide image and cutting it up. Oh my. So it's not really what I'm looking for. But interesting. Okay. That is my understanding of how that all works. So that pans out, but um, back out here, back to our
Into the room over here and make a quick level. I'm gonna select the background layer first and change its color to blue. Then select the instances layer again and start placing obj ground into the room. So I'll add a few here, and I'll also add one, stretch it, and rotate it to make a slope. Then I'll duplicate this to make another slope, and then you can go and add more platforms if you want. And also make sure you add the player as well, don't forget about them like I did. Now we're gonna program the movements of the player. So let's open obj player. Here I'm gonna add the create event which runs when the instance is created. So here we can define the properties and variables of the player. If it asks you to choose between GML code and visual, just go with whatever you want to use. This video is going to show you both ways. Do make sure that you enable don't ask me again for this project before you hit OK. Inside the events, I'm gonna make a few variables. First, we have move underscore speed. That's how fast the player is gonna walk. Then we have jump speed, which is the force that's applied when the player wants to jump. And then there's move X and move Y, which tell us how much the player needs to move in any given frame. Now, in any given frame, we want to take input from the keyboard and move the player accordingly. So we can do that in the
We have 416 move X, move Y, jump speed. I'm starting to wonder if this is going to be as simple as like a spell. Um, because in this gate step we have jump speed, not referencing. Oh, we're referencing it. That is right. Okay.
the step events. This event runs every frame, so you can read inputs, move the player, and program any other behaviors that you want. I'm gonna make this event full screen so we can see everything more easily. Now in the events, we're gonna take inputs on the x-axis by first of all taking inputs for the right key, then taking input for the left key, and subtracting the left value from the right value. So this way we get 1 if you press right, and -1 if you press left, and of course 0 if you press nothing, and that value is saved in the moveX variable. Then I'm gonna set the same variable again, but this time I'll multiply it with the move speed value. So if our move speed is 4, then instead of 1 or -1, we're gonna get 4 or -4, so that's how far the player ends up walking. Now if the player is falling, we want it to stop if it touches ground. So we're gonna use this condition to check if there's ground 2 pixels below the player. 2 pixels is a safer range to check than just 1 pixel below. So if a collision is found there, we set move Y to 0 so it stops moving vertically. Then if you are on the ground and you press space, you should be able to jump. So within this same condition, we're gonna add another condition to check if the space key was pressed. And in that case, we're gonna set move Y to negative jump speed so it moves up with the jump speed amount. Now at the end here, I'm gonna add an else. This is after the condition that checks if we are on the ground. So the else is gonna run if we are not on the ground, meaning we are in mid-air. And in that case, we want to apply gravity to the player. Now even the gravity should have a limit. So if the player's Y speed is below 10, we increase it so it gets to 10, which is the maximum gravity that we're gonna allow. Now
Okay. So preview here. Like I need to have else if y less than 10, move y plus equals 1. It's the same thing that he had. So gravity should be applying if that's the case, right? So we have move x or check v, right minus left. We have move x equals x times move speed. We have if move y equals 0. Then another if inside of that, if space, if our space key pressed, then set move y negative jump. So I think we're on track here.
all of this comes together with the move and collide function. This function moves your instance while avoiding certain objects. So this one is gonna move us by the move x and move y amount that we set, and it's gonna avoid the obj ground object. Finally, to get the player turning left or right, we want a condition to make sure that it is moving. So we're gonna check if move x is not 0, and then we're gonna set the image x scale to the sign of move x, which gets us either 1 or -1. So if we apply that to image x scale, the sprite will flip. Now run.
And that part's working. We know that is working. Very least there's
The game and your basic platformer is ready. You can walk, jump, fall, and even walk up slopes. And your basic platformer is ready. The sprite will flip. Now run the game and your basic platformer is ready. You can walk, jump,
I was
fall,
trying to
and
double
even
check
walk up
there,
slopes.
like, did
There's
this guy sprite start off in the air? I go and create. I'm pretty sure I'm seeing rock.
basic platform to image X scale, the sprite will flip.
Yes.
Now run the game and your basic
Yeah, he's starting in the air. Okay. So theoretically, our guy should also start in the air and just fall down, right? Like, if I reposition him right there, what happens? Yeah, still nothing. So, and my draw values aren't working. We know that move X is working, or at the very least, we know we're triggering this correctly. It's sign of move X. We know X is either 1 or negative. We know our move X is working. Don't know about our move Y, and we don't know if our movement is. Now, I am seeing something that makes sense to me. Object ground. Why is it applying to object ground? Wouldn't we want to move the player? Okay. Apparently not. What would that be? Because, okay, so this is in the step. All right, how does the move and collide? Collide. This action moves the instance by the given distance on the X and Y while avoiding given. It allows your instance to move, navigating slopes or small steps that would otherwise prevent it from. Iterations argument is the number of steps it takes to hit target position. So it takes 4 frames essentially, right? Because each step is essentially a frame, right? A step, a frame. Step is a measurement of time using time equals 1 frame. So a step then is 1 frame per, or rather, it is the time it takes 1 frame to. So step is a measure of time, and the time that it is measuring how long it. Okay. Get rendered, is that the right word? Step is acts like a frame or updated cycle. Measurement of time that equals 1 frame. But like, is that measurement of time from like getting that frame all the way rendered, or measurement of time to? It doesn't really matter. At least not right now. What is offset? X component of the direction in which to move in case of a collision. Oh, so you can like bounce. Oh, that's rad. Okay. So like, this should be making sense then, right? It's telling it to move X distance equal to move X. and move y distance to move y, and collide with object ground. It takes 4 iterations or steps or frames to make one movement x and one movement y. According to those, offset doesn't matter because that's about like colliding and bouncing, which I think. Well, so if we set a y offset on object ground, it would it would be a bouncy house. You'd just be constantly bouncing on the ground. You'd bounce up for a few frames, whatever the offset is, and come down and you collide with the ground and bounce back up. And you do that frame. Maximum speed on the x-axis. Oh wait, specify -1 no limit. Are we saying is that the problem? Hold on, where's the move and collide event? Move and collide. Holy crap, it comes in by default as -1. Did I set everything to 0? Manually? Was that a me thing? Oh, look at that! We have a platformer! It's not very smooth. You got that, like, jumping and everything, but wow! Check that out! Oh, and I can just hold space down. We made a platformer! There's a platformer here! You guys, we did it! We did it! Wow! Oh, but we need to set the offset. Because once again, it's colliding with the origin. We don't want that. We want that to collide with the sprite, so we'd have to like measure. We'd have to like offset it by the sprite height divided by 2. But check that out. That's right. Now, what's interesting here is that the origin doesn't seem to be colliding on the x-axis. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm curious why that is. It's colliding before the origin. So, and we can't Kirby jump. We can't infinitely jump in the air. Hot dog! We did it! Go team. Wow. Very cool. That makes me just so happy. Delightful. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go to the next one. I'm sure that there's a second tutorial on this, right? Because there's a whole like you can download this game, and it is way more built out. So either they haven't made a tutorial for it yet, or there is going to be a fine. Okay, I think this how to make collectibles and
So this is actually a press that comes from Oaxaca. One of our partners,
Oaxaca.
Doña Rosa, actually makes this. We really
Collecting items can be a really fun part of any game. So let's create a pickup object that your player can collect, which will then increase their health or some other value. I'll create a new project using the Windy Woods template, which is a platformer. If you already have a project to work with, I would still recommend doing this in Windy Woods first so you can get a good understanding of how it works before you add it to your own project. You need some assets for this tutorial, so go ahead and download them from the link in the description. Then in GameMaker, go under Tools, click on Import Local Package, and then select the asset package that you just downloaded. You will see this where you just need to click on Add All and then Import. You now have all the assets you need for this tutorial. Create a new object and name this obj pickup health. In the object editor, assign the SPR pickup health sprite to it.
Okay. All right. Let's catch up here. OBJ or pickup underscore health. Because we are missing some of these sprites. So let's go ahead and download these. Coughing. got COVID a couple months ago, and it is, I always have hard times with coughs. And boy, howdy, decided to just go around. Okay, so we have pick up health. Right on.
Now let's program what happens when the player collides with this pickup. Add a new event, which will be a collision event with obj player, which is found under objects, characters, and then player.
We don't want pickup health colliding with pickup health. We want colliding with player. Now, what I'm curious about here is why are we checking on the pickup if we're colliding with the player instead of checking in the player if they collide with pickup? There's probably a best practice around this. But oh gosh, come on.
Now if you're using GML visual, look to this side, and if you're using GML code, then look here. In the event, add an if condition. This will check if the HP or health of the other instance, which is the player, is less than the max HP of that same instance. That means the player's health is not full, meaning they can pick this up and gain another heart. If this condition is true, we will change the value of a variable. The variable is the HP of the other instance, which again is the player. And we are increasing that by 1 so the player gets another heart. Now you can change this value to something else if you want to change how much health the player gains from this pickup. Then destroy the pickup instance itself. Now open the RM level 1 room, which is the first level in this project, and
Yeah, yours looks way different from mine.
select the instances layer where you can place any objects. Then from the asset browser, drag your health pickup object and drop it in the room. I'll add another one here, and I'll also add an enemy between these hearts so I can test losing hearts and gaining them back. Now run the game, and you won't be able to pick up the heart initially because your health is full. If you touch an enemy and get hurt, you can then collect your pickup and gain a heart. Right now it's looking very simple, so let's add a particle effect that plays.
Okay, so this is very different from what I have. Their asset does not have all stuff. Cool. So, I think we're just gonna build. We're just gonna build a thing. Let's use our tiling test as an enemy. If collision with player, then let's go to our object player, and in the create step, we're gonna add another variable, which is HP and max HP. So that value is 3, and we'll set our HP value to 2. Sure. And then we go to our tiling test. So when you collide with tiling test being an enemy, when you collide with the player, then assign variable other.hp equals to -1 relative, right? And that, I think that will do it? Question mark? Let's put you over here. All right, see what happens. So theoretically, you're at 2 out of 3 health, and if we jump over this guy, okay, so we should be at 1 health. We picked it up. That's good. So let's throw some more pickups on the ground and move ourselves a little bit forward so that we are not do that whole jump. So it should let me pick this heart up, but it shouldn't let me pick up another one. Right on. Okay, this is working. So Let's try this again, and we will get hurt, pick up, and then my question is, did we collide with that enemy for every frame and lowered our health? Or did it collide once and then subtracted the health? So if it collided every frame, we're at like negative 80 health. And we should be able to pick up this heart. If it collided once, should not be able to. Okay, so it's probably every frame then. Cool, that's good to know. Which means we need like an invulnerable sort of thing, right? So let's go back to our player in the create step, and we will add another one. Invuln, and we'll set that to 0. We will go back to tiling test, and we will set invuln other dot invuln to 1, and we need to encase this in an if statement. The if is if other dot invuln is equal to 0, then run this. And then it will set it to 1, and then we need to do an alarm of I don't know, sure, 30. And then we should also have some visual way to tell, yes, this is happening. I don't know how to do what they did of the flashing.
Is full
Type an effect.
in the game, and you won't be able to pick up the heart initially because your health is full. If you
Yeah, it's like turning it on and off. I think we can get something similar if we just set the alpha to like half, and we'll set it to other. So if you are not invulnerable and you collide with the player, subtract a health, make them invincible, and 30 frames will go by, 30 steps, and then applies countdown to other, and then obj player add event alarm 0 assign variable invuln to 0, and that should theoretically give us invulnerability on hit. So when we get hit, let's pick up this heart. If we get hit, reduce our opacity to 50%, and we will not be hit again. Okay, we got opacity. That's good. Pick that up. We should theoretically be at full health. Aha! Success! Now we're not becoming opaque again. So I can set instance alpha back to 1 over here. If we do that, then that should show us the end. There we go. Nice! Check that out. So we should be at like -1 health right now. Oh, hey, we're making games. We're making games. We're just building stuff. We're making cool things. Smarter. Building skill sets. Why not? Yeah, this is very, very exciting for me. Oh man, okay, so like what's our next step? I guess particle effect.
simple, so let's add a particle effect that plays when you collect a heart. In the same event that you were just working in, under
I'm so glad that all worked so well. That was a very exciting instance of like debugging and trying to build something without the tutorial there. It's showing me that I really am learning. I really am understanding how to manipulate things here. Really exciting. So we need to be in our pickup health, and with the player collision event particle for yellow, right? We're gonna draw. Oh, draw instance health. Ooh, wait a minute, hold on. Create? Can I just draw instance lives? Oh, we need a sprite. I mean, let's just that just for testing. Horizontal. Start at 0, 0, sure. How do you know which variable is lives? Like, okay, so there's a built-in lives. But let's see what happens if we use our custom built one. Okay, so it's not showing. Now, what happens if we say lives? And we'll set lives to 3. Nothing. Okay, so that's good in a sense, because it tells me I don't understand what I'm doing, which is reassuring. Because that means that those variables we declared might not be dumb. Draw instance lives. Oh, this action is only for use in the various draw events and will not do anything if used elsewhere. Interesting. Okay, so we can go back to you, add a draw event, and set instance lives. And your sprite will just sure. Let's use player sprite. Whoop. Okay. I think. All right. I disappeared. Great. Let's change it from the player sprite back to the tiling test and see if that makes a difference, or is the draw thing what's breaking? Fascinating. Okay. So this draw is breaking it. So do we put self draw in here? Draw self? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that's all still working, but we're not getting our lives drawn. So do we need to let's once again, let's try using this built-in variable, say 3. Let's see what happens. No. Still nothing. I'm not seeing any change. Why not? Let's go back to the probably gonna have to leave just a couple of minutes because it's date night, and I love my wife very much so, and I'd like her to stay my wife. I'm gonna make time for nights, despite the fact that I'm just having so much fun with this. The number to draw is taken from the current value of the local instance variable live. Local instance variable lives. Okay, I'm assuming with us declaring that here, that works. Special variable. Automatically, within the instance, any of the actions require it. You give the sprite to draw for the live stack order, either row, horizontally left or right, or column vertically top to bottom, as well as the position. Position can be an absolute position within the room, or one relative to the position drawing. Images width or height of right. Note that this simply draws a image. The full image right. The further frame, okay, as will any transforms that have been added to the variable. X scale or so what that means is, if I'm reading it correctly, is we could set the player sprite as the lives sprite, and they're saying they're just going to take the very first frame of that sprite, so it won't be this running animation. It'll just be still. It won't apply any image X scale or image blend, which means that it won't move with the character as we move. Okay. Right on. Which makes sense because you would just want like this plain static image most of the time. Um, demonstrate. Uh, um, you wouldn't want it to be moving. You just want it to exist. It's just a visual indicator that's not supposed to draw attention to it. Just supposed to communicate. Okay. Right. So my question is, we're in a draw event. Why are we not get rid of these draws? Why are we not seeing this? It seems like it should be working. We have the variable lives being declared on create. So why? What if we set it to relative? I don't think that's the problem. I don't think it's like getting rendered off screen or something. I think it's just not getting drawn. I don't know. Why is that not happening? Not instantly. It draws a stat. Special variable automatically fire. If this, the only thing I can think of is that it's not finding lives, right? So this will actually be helpful for me. What if we just do lives? Draw lives relative to the player at like -30. Oh shoot, I had an old version of it running apparently. Crashed! No! Hey, here we go. Save. All right, we have lives. We have 3. It is reading 3. Nothing will change because we're not telling it to change. If we go into a tiling test and we change, we can set other dot lives to be just 1 relative. Pick up health. Well, I guess we need this. Other dot lives 1 relative. See what happens here. This should theoretically decrement down to 2 if I get hit, and then go back up to 3 when completely crashes. Okay. Not set object player lives, not set before reading it. Why not? It's in the create step. Like it's here. We're assigning it to 3 on creation. How is that not declared? It's a I'm wondering if it's like it said it's like an instance local variable. So what if what if it doesn't exist outside of it? In which case we need to be like changing lives inside of player event, which would be like, I don't know. I'm gonna do this really squiddly wampus. But let's say add collision with tiling test And we're going to set lives then -1. And then we are going to add collision with health. A lives is +1. Both collisions, okay, good. We didn't misclick anything. Whoa! Oh, it's doing the same thing where it was setting our frame. So, okay. So really what we want to do is not increment or decrement lives. What we want to do is set it equal to P. That's what we want to do. And we don't want it to be. So let's try that. Put down to 1, 0, -1, and it's not going back up. Which is interesting. Can I like F5 that? No. Okay. It would be really great to have like a start again button. That might be like, if we're gonna ever make a boilerplate game project, common debugging controls that we'll want throughout the process, I think a reset the scene button would be very helpful. You have to recompile it every time. So honestly, I think we could just get rid of both of these, because we don't really care if we're going up or down. All we care about is that lives is equal to HP. So what if we just say in the step, lives equals HP? Right? And so now when we start, it should say 2. It does. Now we'll go down to 1. Up to 3. Lovely. It's working. So our life system is working, and we're drawing the correct amount of lives. But for some reason, we're not drawing instance lives. I mean, what if we do something weird and we say apply to other? And I'm pretty sure that pink line is saying, I don't know what to do about that. It's not in reference to anything else. I mean, can I specify OBJ player? Draw OBJ player's lives in a row at XY on OBJ. Let's say we'll set that to 30. So on the left, we should have the number. On the right, we should have sprite. Not have Y. Draw lives in a X plus Y. And like, we know that we're getting lives. It exists, it's there. And it's updating. What's going on? Also, I'm just seeing this, which is, this is physics. Like, that's just gonna overwrite our, whoa, we jumped a lot higher now. If we check that use physics button, is that going to make it so we don't need all of that draw stuff? I don't know. Okay. Oh, and I'm noticing all this stuff too. Events, we can just like add event. We don't have to like roll back over here. We can just add event and jump between all of these. Variables. Oh, nice. So this is a space that I am a little unclear on. When do we add a variable else? More things to be thinking about as we move. Guys, draw. See what Almighty Google. GameMaker raw instance. Well, and here's back. Are you sure this is fighting with the asteroid? Live, live, and live. Not ending the collision. For as long as there is a collision, one life. Right, okay. Like we did when let's see. Why it's not drawing the sprites. Question to ask yourself: what should cause the draw? I mean, should that be the draw instance lives event? Which instance the player, which should be detecting the same variable as the draw value that's above it? Which event, draw step, should work? Action, no action, it should be by default. Each of those pieces happen. What are the conditions that should cause the sprites to draw? How do you know that each of those can be met? How can you check those? Figure out which condition is wrong, then ask the same questions about that problem. Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, that's just good debugging practice, but like, how can I check? So we know that lives functions, right? Lives is doing its thing, living its best life. Living its best lives, and we can read it, we can draw it. So what does this text look like? So if variable in ID of drag and drop is lives a widget, that okay. At the risk of I'm going to change this lives manual just so it's a different variable so I don't have to like delete everything. Golly. Sorry, wife is texting me asking me when she wants me to come by for update. It's sent me. Oh, guys, find someone who loves. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have lives manual, and then where else are we declaring live? Is it's in the create step, right? So let's say lives underscore man, and then so let's search for lives. This has got to be drag and drop lives. So we're gonna set us at 2, and then what do I want to do? I want to do D&D lives. That is so confusing that they're different variables. How is that not a bad idea? Okay. And then this should work, right? So we should have, this will be lives underscore manual. this will be D&D. Ah ha ha ha! 1, 2, excellent! Wonderful. Okay. So, let me try this again. I just checked off relative on the draw instance lives. So we should see our lives up in the corner there. Lovely. 3, and we've got 3 now. I can take a hit. Then down, refresh, cool. I want to make sure, I think I might have observed something bad. How quickly does that invulnerability timer tick down, and our lives being decremented at the same so basically I'm trying to check is the invulnerability working for lives as well? It should. We've tested this before. Should be working. Yes, so I can walk all the way through and be at 0 life. Or only go down by 1. And theoretically, if I'm at full health, it won't let me pick up a heart. Yeah, look at that! We're making a game! We're making a game! Great! Right on. This is fantastic. Let's go ahead and start working on the particle effects. So, oh man, this is so cool! This is so exciting! Where are we at? If other HP, so we're in the heart, yeah? Okay. So, on pickup. All right, that's what's caused this whole detour. Is I went down to drawing and was like, oh, there's like a health bar thing. And there's an instance score. We could have used that for asteroids. Oh, man. See, this is why it's so good to, like, draw a sprite multiple times. This is why you gotta be on top of, like, what things actually exist. It's why I am staying in this visual thing, even though I think the code is way better for a lot of reasons. It just... It allows things to be discoverable that are not discoverable. Okay, so
With the same condition,
hue effect. Okay, so we're looking for like a lemonade yellow. There we go. Hue effect. Yes, sure. Particle life. Set the life of a particle type. So like, is that like lives so that you could like hit a particle or something? There's the star. Type explosion. Where? Blow object. Size small. I'm assuming we're gonna want it relative. Yeah?
use this to create an effect. I'll create a ring effect, but you can choose something else. It will be created above all objects. Its size will be medium, and I'll give it a pink or fuchsia color. All of this is up to you. If you're using GML Visual, make sure to enable the relative options for X and Y. This means the particle will be created at the same position as the instance that is running the code. Run the game, collect a heart, and you will now see your particle effect. Now if you want to create a different pickup, just create a new object for it, add a collision event, and
Hold on, is it working? So it doesn't work on that first one, but when I take a damage, all of a sudden it works. What? Why? Does it need to go beforehand? No. Whoop. Whoop. How bizarre. Why? Bizarre. Why? Why is that happening? Like, okay. let's check to make sure it's not just like for some reason that one instant, right? Nothing, and then heart. So okay, so that was an interesting test. What that told me that it's not a problem of it being uninitialized. Like I was wondering, does it like think that the health is already at full or something? And then like, so when you pick it up, it's increasing the health, but then kicks out of the loop for some reason because it thinks it's full. But by getting hit here, we're showing that we are updating the life value. And so that should be that should reset everything to be the same value. But it doesn't play the effect, the first one. But then it plays it for the second one. So GameMaker effect not playing first time. Effect created above does not create an effect the first time at all. Following the official GameMaker Space Rock tutorial. What is the same as there? Okay. Oh, this was just a comment on Git saying this is a bug. And then someone supposedly fixed it. But okay, try this one. My effects don't work the first time around and I'm lost. So run into X's and consistent bugs. My first protocol is always the tutorial that goes through how to actually use the debugger. That would be really helpful. Because as we've seen, I'm kind of trying to twist and make up my own debugger. First, you want to place a breakpoint on the line check create above code, yeah, debugger stuff. After you reset, so the debugger might not trigger value. Already know that it works the second time around. Try just in case. Run the game in debugger mode. I read the manual. Got myself so much. Actually, it does. Well, the first time around, positive, but on. Art pinning for woos. It's a manual on effects. Effect above. Well, it turns out deprecated. Effect layer. Huh. It works every time now. Function of deprecated. What happens if you add that to one? Interesting. Well, we're gonna have to dive into the debugger and figure this all out another time. Because it's date night, everyone. I gotta go. Have a great rest of your night, morning, afternoon, extra dimensional existence filled with ennui. Sure do appreciate all of you. Best of luck. We'll see you next.